Hey folks, Mike Rasmussen here, at-large councilman for the town of Smyrna. This is my update for from the council meeting that was this evening, December 6th, 2021. We had a relatively short meeting tonight. We got out of there before 8 o'clock, which is great. So that means that there's not a ton of stuff on the agenda, but I actually wanted to talk a little bit also about some of the economic development update that I gave at the meeting, because I think there's a couple of cool items there that folks might want to know about. From the updates from most of the other folks in town, the major thing was, and you'll see this on the town's Facebook page and website, we are going to be suspending regular yard waste collection for the winter. So after next week, so the regular yard waste collection will be next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as it normally is. We're going to be suspending it for a couple of months. I forget exactly what date it's going to be starting up again, because there's really not a lot of demand for yard waste pickup over the course of the winter time. If you do have yard waste that needs to be picked up during that time, you just need to call the town and let them know, similar to the way that it used to be for those of you who remember before we had the regular yard waste pickup days. In addition to that, the town will be doing the Christmas tree pickup. That starts January 3rd through January 31st. You just need to put your Christmas tree out on the street. The town guys will be driving around and grabbing those. It may take them a day or two to come and grab the tree, but they will be doing the Christmas tree pickups January 3rd through January 31st. If you got questions about that, or you need a yard waste pickup of something else, make sure you just give the town a call if you can't get it out to them by the end or by your normal pickup day next week. So that's a good little piece of information. A couple other things that were shared. So last week on Tuesday, we held our annual veterans ceremony. So every year, the council members have the opportunity to nominate a veteran in our community to share their story a little bit, and give them an award. We hang up banners around town that you've probably seen if you're driving around, that honor those people in our town who've served their country and our community. So we didn't get to do it in 2020. So this year we did our 2021 honorees, and we also got to bring in the 2020 honorees and present them with it's a really nice shadow box that the town puts together for everybody. And then their banners will be out hanging. They'll be up after the holiday season. I think they put them up in the spring, and then you'll see those all around town for a good portion of the year. So it was a wonderful ceremony. Councilwoman Gott and a number of the town staff, I couldn't get them all right, so all participated and made it just a wonderful event. And so thank you for everybody who came, and thank you for everybody who helped put that together. We also had the opportunity tonight to present some certificates to a number of the Girl Scouts who completed their silver and bronze awards through a number of different service projects, and got to hear a little bit about that. And so awesome to see some of the cool things that are going on that the Girl Scouts in our community are doing. So thank you for them. The agenda tonight had a lot of old business stuff that I've talked about before, so I'm going to kind of skip over those items. There were a couple of big pieces on the new business. I'm going to do the quick ones first. One is that the town is working on figuring out how to create a regional pumping station for down at Simon's Corner. Right now there is a smaller pump station. This is a water pumping station down there that is not going to be able to service the needs of that area as it continues to grow. So we're working with some of the developers in that area to actually create a regional pumping station that can supply water to that Simon's Corner area, the new apartments that will be going in there, as well as increase capacity and flow for the existing infrastructure in the town. We approved a recommendation from the Parks and Rec Committee to allow I think it's the Zambini Family Circus to host the circus in the park in May 2022. This is something that's happened a lot of years, not last year, obviously, but or the year before, I believe. Actually, I think we missed it for 2 years. So that's going to be coming back in May. I don't have the exact date yet, but you'll see this they put the flyers up everywhere. There's the little coupons to get like, buy one get one and things like that. But that circus will be coming back into town out at the municipal park in May of 2022. The town approved an authorization or a resolution authorizing us to acquire a new piece of property. So the address is 625 North Main Street. You would know this if you are driving north towards or on Duck Creek Parkway. It's a small piece of property. It's currently owned by the Duck Creek Historical Society. It was gifted to them many years ago, and it's basically just been sitting there. It is right next to a piece of property that the town purchased. We took action on it and purchased it in the last month and a half or so. So the idea is this is a small piece of property. It's adjacent to some of the town property that we just got, and it's all adjacent to some of our existing park properties. So as we look to create a comprehensive plan for what our parks could be, thought this would be a good piece to acquire from the Historical Society since they didn't have any use for it. And it might allow us to expand some of the hoped-for uses of the property we just acquired, which, as we've talked about, may make a great spot for a dog park, but ultimately that'll come in for planners to figure out whether or not that truly is the best use of it. So it's a $49,000 purchase to acquire another. I believe it's just about a half an acre piece of property there. So those are the little things on the new business agenda. The big one was actually something that I've been working on with the town staff through the Economic Development Committee, and then it also went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which was an ordinance to amend the zoning code that would do a couple of things. It, removes the current off-street parking requirement for central commercial properties that have second and third floor apartments. This has come up numerous times where the town has ultimately had to say no based on the code to potential development or redevelopment of some of the properties downtown, because it is very, very difficult, in many cases impossible, to put off-street parking on those lots. I mean, many of these old buildings are built on the lot line, and many of them have empty second and third floors that could be viable apartments. I mean, more people living, working, playing downtown. So a lot of other towns have dealt with this, where they've had to basically remove some requirements that were put into place a long time ago to allow redevelopment of those properties. From a business perspective, it's practically impossible to buy and renovate and operate a building without utilizing the second and third floors of those buildings. Commercial rents are hard to come by. They are more fickle than having apartments that you can rent a higher rate per square footage. In the economics of it, it just doesn't work to invest in an old building to repair and bring it up to a modern functioning building without the opportunity to add on second or third floor apartments. So we're removing something that stood in the way of some of those buildings that have had interest in that in the past. We also changed it so that you cannot go to the Board of Adjustment to get approval to do a first floor apartment in a commercial building. We've had a couple of examples of this where viable first floor commercial buildings have gotten turned into apartments on the first floor. In one case, quite literally displacing an operating and functioning business that was doing quite well because of the hope of getting more money having a rental. And in the past, the town didn't have a way to really functionally say no to that because it was all about whether or not it generated more traffic, and apartments don't generate as much traffic as businesses do, so you couldn't say no. So what we've done is we've changed the zoning code to bring that under the town council and make the requirement of saying yes to turning a commercial space into an apartment, that it has to show that it will positively impact the economic character of the downtown. It's a pretty high bar to set. And the intention there is that we want a thriving business and residential area in our downtown. We can't turn every potential business location into an apartment, especially if it's a small apartment and things like that ultimately may or may not have trouble renting in the first place. So there's a change that was made that will make that a little bit tougher for a business or for a property owner to do. They have to actually come to the council and make a strong case of why we should convert a commercial space into apartments, or allow them to convert a commercial space into apartments. So this was approved unanimously by the council. It's something that I think is, of the zoning changes we've been doing recently, fits in with what we're trying to do, is ultimately remove some of the requirements in our zoning code that have prevented redevelopment, as well as place some things in our zoning code that will help make smarter development and smarter redevelopment, so that we can try and see some economic activity in our downtown and in our community. So as a big piece, the town staff has been fantastic. Planning and zoning went back and forth on this a lot, narrowing down and hammering it out, and I think it's a great change, and I think that it will be impactful for our downtown. So I'm happy to see that move forward. And on the topic of economic development, so that's the big stuff from the committee, or from the council meeting tonight. I did want to share a little bit of stuff from some of the economic development work that's been going on in town. So everybody knows, or not everybody, most people have seen, obviously there's work going on at the Duck Creek Business Campus, what people also call the KRM property. This is that 200 plus acre site that's just north of the Duck Creek, on the, I guess it would be the east side of 13. KRM's already put in a 71,000 square foot flex building there. They're working on who's going to be the final tenant for that. I don't know if it's public for us to share that tonight, so I will not. But they do have a tenant, as far as we know, that is either has signed a lease or will be signing a lease shortly for that first building. They've also come to the town to get approval to begin another building on that property, another 133,000 square foot building. So they've got the variance that they needed and got approved recently. And this space has the potential to generate thousands of jobs in our community. And it's a very large piece that takes years and years. I mean, that's a 20-year number, really, to fully fit out like what the whole property and project would look like and have that kind of number of jobs. But seeing that they're already moving forward on a second building, and as we've heard, there's a third very, very large potential building that they're considering or pushing forward soon. It's all great progress, because ultimately we hope that will increase some jobs that are available here in our community. So that's a good one. There's an additional 10,000 square foot building that's going to be going in the existing industrial park, what we call the Smyrna Business Park. So one of our business owners who's bought, redeveloped, rebuilt, or built new buildings in this community, Bob Johnson, he's expanding some space that he currently has there, and working through opportunities to bring in some additional traffic and additional business there in the business park, the existing business park. A bunch of stuff coming our way for the community from the state. So folks probably saw there was a big press release that the state put out about the hospital for the chronically ill. They are going to be building basically a new hospital. We were wondering about whether or not what they were going to do with the existing buildings. Were they going to be torn down? What was going to happen? Because it's a 90 plus, or around a 90-year-old facility that's there right now. What they're proposing is a 72,000 square foot, 150 bed new hospital that'll be being built on the open portion of that property that's already there. The existing buildings will be used for office space, support, so they're not tearing those things down, but that's a very, very big project. And ultimately, that means better services for the people who are in the hospital there, and increased capacity for folks who need those type of services from our community. A lot of that is being paid for almost entirely with ARPA funds. It's one of the allowable uses, increasing that healthcare capacity. They're also going to be doing a 25,000 square foot addition onto the existing state lab, the health lab that's there. They have very easily learned that there are times, like a pandemic where you need additional capacity, you need additional staffing. I believe it's in the vicinity of 20 to 30 new jobs that they'll be able to create with this expanded laboratory capacity there. That's great. That's 20 to 30 new jobs in Smyrna for lab staff and people that are there. Again, they're now in the construction meetings phase of that. Both of those big projects are going to be being completed because it's ARPA funding by the end of 2023. Has to be by December 1st of 2023 that those funds have to be expended. Big projects, so you're going to see a lot of construction going on right there just south of Lake Como on the state property by the hospital there. So keep an eye out for those things. We also learned that the state so they purchased the former Mid-Dell Auto Salvage Yard that's up on DuPont Highway. They have already started, and actually it's open. They had one of those big wavy guys out front with a sign. They've started to utilize that as the town or as this state surplus yard, where they've got surplus vehicles, and I think that they also have like surplus equipment and things like that, where you can actually stop in and buy some things like that. I think I purchased a desk from the state once like that. So that's operational. What they're also proposing doing is building a 25 to 30,000 square foot cold and dry food storage distribution facility. A lot of folks probably saw some of the efforts that the Department of Agriculture and the state took on in doing a lot of food distribution during the pandemic. There is a site that they have available for this in Newcastle County. There is not a Kent County site available for the storage and sort of distribution needs of things like that. And so this is going to serve for that. I'm not talking about a lot of new jobs here. It's a big warehouse space. But it is another big project that will be going on from the state side. So you will see a 25 to 30,000 square foot refrigerated storage building start getting built right there, just north of the rest stop. So keep an eye out for that. So those are three big projects that I thought were five big projects that I thought were of interest. There's a lot of little projects from the economic development side. There's a bit of speculation. There's folks who are working and trying to acquire some of the old buildings in downtown. The initial interest in the town's facade grant program. So to refresh, we allocated $200,000 of some of our ARPA funding to create a facade grant program where a commercial property, so this could be entirely commercial or commercial and residential, like mixed-use property, located in the commercial district or out in the existing business park, could get up to $50,000 in a facade grant with a 90% match. So meaning that you don't have to put up very much money of your own to do some significant improvements to the streetscape. The town staff is doing a lot of outreach to the property owners in those areas, trying to find as many people who are interested as possible to put together proposals so that we can review those from council's perspective in the beginning of February and hopefully allocate some of those funds and see some nice improvements. So, but that's a great way to find out about other properties and things that are going on, work that people are doing here in town. So a lot of energy, a lot of little bits and pieces, but I thought I'd share some of that stuff that's going there. So if folks have any questions, obviously happy to read the comments and reply to that. Some of this stuff, if you want to read more about the economic development stuff, you can go in and read our minutes when they get posted. Minutes always take at least a month to post after the meeting. They're not an immediate thing, but you can zoom into the meetings and watch them when they're being had. And I try and get back with economic development questions as quick as I possibly can. So that's the main stuff. Appreciate everybody for any questions or comments that you've got. As things come up, I'll try and share more. And have a great night. We have one more council meeting. It is December 20th, so I should have one more update before the end of the year. But hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving and is doing well on all your planning. Happy Hanukkah and all the other wonderful holidays. I think that this time of year gives us much. So I hope everybody has something to be happy and celebrate. So take care. Be well.